Hey everyone, it is me E and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, like the thumbnail says, I'm going to be designing my own bachelorettes for Story of Seasons and Harvest Moon. So I kind of have this original game kind of in my mind, and the concept for this game is that you are obviously the newcomer to an old school farming town or farming village, and this village is kind of at a crossroads between old school farming and being super into nature and rustic whatever, and wanting to move into the 21st century with new technology. And one of the big advancements of the game is, if you so choose, you can get high-speed internet to the town. And the way you would do that is through kind of like a town restoration plan, where you move through different things in order to get that to happen. And as a result of you choosing to modernize the town, or if you choose to keep it more natural, that will impact your relationship with various different people around the village. So that's just my concept for the game. And that plays into my bachelorette designs. So this week I'm going to bring you my bachelorettes, and next week I will bring you my bachelors. So this first bachelorette is Jordan. That's what I decided to name her. And she is the rancher. So if you were to need to purchase a new cow or sheep or feed or medicine for your animals or whatever, Jordan would be the one you would purchase it from. But my idea is that she's so super busy on her farm that she does not actually like man the counter at her store. There's just an order form that you fill out. Kind of like in Another Wonderful Life, there was an order form that you would just fill out for new animals and stuff. That's kind of the way it would work. You go to her ranch, and then there's just an order form that you can sign off on. And she would be one of those people in town that your relationship with her would be negatively impacted if you decided to go with the modernization, because she would worry that that would create competition with her business. If you make it so there's high-speed internet available in your village, then maybe you won't need to go to her ranch to order supplies and animals. You would just be able to order from the internet and have it sent to you that way, as opposed to ordering through her, for example. But Jordan's personality is kind of similar to maybe Nami or even Jamie from Magical Melody. She's very focused on her farm, and so as a result seems maybe a little bit cold and distant. She is probably one of those people that once you get to know her, you see that she has a heart of gold underneath, but it takes a very long time to get there, and she may never say anything that's super explicitly nice, but you can tell that she cares about the other people in town, and she cares about you and wants you and the other people in town to have success in whatever that they do. So she's going to be a very helpful person when she can be, but she is also young, obviously, and trying to run a farm all by herself. So she's going to be kind of stressed out a lot, and maybe, again, doesn't have that much time to spend with you. And so as a result, maybe she's not going to be at every single festival in town because she's too busy running her ranch. And maybe even she sees you as a little bit of competition, and so there's a little bit of strain on the relationship between you, at least at first, until she sees that you are a good asset to the village. But that is Jordan. For her design, I wanted her to look kind of tomboyish. She is, like I said, very focused on farming. She's probably not going to be that into fashion. Her jeans are kind of like a retro 90s style jean, and that is something also that I would want to kind of balance in the game design of my imaginary Harvest Moon Story of Seasons game. The people in town either kind of have very modern clothing that looks, very much in line with what would be worn in the year 2020, or they're going to be wearing kind of outdated clothes from the 90s, which are actually kind of in style right now anyway, but that's what kind of makes it work. None of these characters will look like they don't belong in town because they're wearing such strange attire, but you can definitely tell between the people who are more interested in current fashion and the people who are just wearing whatever they need to wear to get through the day. And she's got just a white t-shirt on with this like little planet design, because I think the little planet design is cute. It's a little bit playful, so maybe that kind of alludes to maybe she has a fun side somewhere in there when she's not super hardworking all of the time. She will have relationships with other people in town. I would want to reintroduce rival marriage in this game because I think that it adds a richness to town, and it kind of makes me sad when you marry someone in a Harvest Moon or Story of Seasons game and then all of the other bachelors and bachelorettes in the village just don't get to have a happy ending. I don't really like that. I like it for other characters to be able to have their happy ending. At the same time, I wouldn't want to feel like, oh no, if I don't hurry up and marry this person, then I'll miss my opportunity because they're going to marry someone else. Which is the case in some games. I know if you don't play the game right, you may wind up losing the bachelor or bachelorette of your choosing to someone else. So there would definitely be a system in place where you would have to give your blessing or something like that in order for them to go ahead and pursue the marriage. So you don't have to worry about losing your bachelor or bachelorette to someone else. And I do have a bachelor in mind for this person who you will see next week. So I'll talk more next week in my bachelor video about the rival marriages and who I would pair up with who of my imaginary Harvest Moon and Story of Season villagers. But let me know what you think of Jordan, my first bachelorette on the list. I really like her. She's my favorite, and that's why I put her first. And probably I'm a little bit biased because she reminds me of myself. She would have a taller character model, so in game she would be taller than the player character. So she's kind of tall like myself, and she's got brown hair and brown eyes, so she's kind of simple looking, but she does have this interesting scar on her cheek, so maybe eventually you'll learn how she got it. The next bachelorette is Cree. Cree is a handy woman. She would work for the carpentry company that would do any expansions on your house. So there will be a lumberjack type of carpenter who would be working on like the building itself, like hanging drywall, that kind of stuff. Whereas Cree would be more into wiring up your electricity or doing your plumbing. And she's a general handy woman who would be very helpful whenever it's time to do expansions on your farm. Her personality would be kind of more distracted and, well, maybe not distracted, but so hyper-focused that in conversation she comes across as distracted. So the bachelor who I will talk more about next week for her, who would be her rival or the rival for your affection for her in marriage, he would obviously kind of have a crush on her and be kind of shy about it, but she would be totally oblivious to it because she's so focused on her work and what she does. And she's super fun and a playful person, but very hardworking as well. She would be one of the people in town that if you decided to go down the path of modernization, it would probably actually improve your relationship with her because she would be interested in innovation and invention because of that's just who she is. And also, she would be introducing some more characters of different ethnicities to the game. I think that Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons games do very well with giving us sort of Caucasian-looking bachelors and bachelorettes, as well as generally Asian-looking bachelors and bachelorettes, especially in more recent games. We get a lot more of those types of characters. But Cree would be more African-American looking or something along those lines. She's definitely darker skinned, and you can tell from her clothes that, again, she also is kind of tomboyish, but in a different way from Jordan. I feel like Jordan is kind of a tomboy out of necessity, whereas Cree is a tomboy because that's how she dresses. But Jordan would not be as likely to wear makeup as Cree would be. As far as Cree's relationship with other people in town, she would work for the carpentry company or construction company, and so she would have a relationship with the other people who work for the construction company. In addition to that, I imagine kind of a cutscene between her and Jordan, where Jordan has an issue on her farm that Cree has to come and help with, some sort of electrical issue, or maybe she needs her windmill repaired. And Cree comes, and as I said, she gets so super focused on her work that she doesn't notice that she's getting hungry, and her stomach is growling and growling and growling, and Jordan can't help but notice. And so Jordan would be the kind of person to say, I can't focus on my work with your stomach growling so loud, come inside and eat with me. So it would show that Jordan really does care about other people, so she's not going to let Cree work without getting something to eat. And so at the end of that interaction, Jordan will ask, okay, how much do I owe you for the repairs? And Cree would say, you know what, it's on me, thanks for lunch. And it would show that these people in town care about each other. Even if they don't have the exact same view of what they want out of town, they still care about each other and want to see each other thrive and be successful. So I wouldn't say that Jordan and Cree would be friends, but there would probably be a mutual respect there because they both are kind of career focused and are focused on the things that drive them and make them feel fulfilled. So that would definitely be their relationship. But I think that Cree would be a really fun bachelorette to pursue because she might not be as challenging as Jordan, but there would be a certain challenge because you would have to get past her being so super distracted and focused all the time. She would definitely be oblivious to you making advances. She would not realize that you liked her. It would be the kind of thing when you finally present the blue feather to her for marriage, she'd be like, what? I totally didn't see this coming. But then as she thinks about it, she's like, oh my gosh, now I totally see where you're coming from. And she would be very happy about it. And yeah, I think that it would be a really cute cut scene. And here with the color pencil shading I'm doing, you can see I'm adding some more dimension to her hair. She would definitely kind of have very dark brown hair and wear kind of neutral and natural colored clothing. And a lot of people in town, I would imagine, would have this kind of a color palette of neutral and natural colors to kind of match the vibe of the town, especially when you first get there. It definitely have a kind of a natural vibe to it. So for this video, I have 4 bachelorettes. Normally, if I were in a game, I would want more than that, but I'm just doing 4 for now. And the next bachelorette is named Marcia. And Marcia is kind of, I think, a new concept for Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons. In the past, we've definitely have kind of cold bachelorettes, like I said, like Jamie from Magical Melody, or even Nami is a little bit shy and hard to connect with at first. So Jordan is not necessarily totally a new concept. With Cree, we've had bachelorettes like Anne from Magical Melody, who are kind of inventors, or even Phoebe from Animal Parade, who are inventors. And so her being kind of a handy woman, good with tools, is not necessarily a brand new concept for Harvest Moon or Story of Seasons. But Marcia, I don't think that I've seen any bachelorettes like this before. Marcia is kind of a goth. So Marcia's whole thing is that she definitely wants to leave town. And she would definitely be the kind of person who always talks about leaving but never actually does. And maybe part of that is because she's very attached to her family. Her family would be owners of the gardening company, the seed sellers, so they would definitely own and run the gardening center. However, she is not involved in the business at all. She wants to be a writer, and so that's partially why she wants to leave town, because she has this concept of like a big city writer, and she wants to get out of town so that she can be in a more of an artsy scene. But she will not leave town, so it's not like if you don't meet certain requirements, you would worry that she would leave, because she loves her family too much to go. And if you romance her, then you can convince her that there's plenty of inspiration for writing in town, and she would definitely be another one of the people in town who your relationship with her would improve if you managed to modernize the town a little bit, because she would begin to see that she doesn't necessarily need to leave town to have the amenities that she wants. And she has more of like a goth design. So you'll see when I start coloring her that she wears pretty much all black. I gave her green eyes for a little bit of flair and interest, but her hair is black, and when you see I color it, it's going to have like kind of green tips at the end. She has a younger brother named Marcus, who will be in the Bachelor video next week. He's her younger brother, but he's not a kid. But he is one of the younger bachelors, and that's one thing that I would like to see reintroduced in Another Wonderful Life. The bachelors kind of had canon ages, and I don't remember what they were exactly, but I think that it was something like Rock was in his early 20s. Marlon was in his early 30s, and I think Gustavo was in his late 20s. Something like that. So they had different ages. So I would like to reintroduce having bachelors and bachelorettes with different ages. And Marcia wouldn't be old. She would maybe be in her early to mid 20s, whereas her brother Marcus would probably be in his late teens, early 20s. So he would definitely be on the younger end of bachelors, but he would not be a child. So you wouldn't have to worry about that. I think my headcanon ages for Jordan would probably be like 29, and Cree would probably be 28, similar age. Marcia has friends in town, and the last bachelorette I will draw will be her best friend, which we'll get into more later. But I would say that Marcia probably doesn't have that much of a relationship with Jordan, and doesn't have that much of a relationship with Cree either. And that's probably in part because she's not as cold as Jordan per se, but she's definitely not super friendly either. So she's a little bit cynical and things like that. The kind of things that you would expect from a goth, but she's definitely a lot more romantic. That's kind of her writer side, and wistful and poetic, and so she definitely sees the beauty in things, so that's cool. I really like her outfit as well. And the final bachelorette for this video is going to be called Bunny. Bunny is not her real name. I don't know what her real name would actually be, but she's one of the kind of bachelorettes that once you marry her, she'll tell you what her real name is, but everybody calls her Bunny, even her parents who know what her real name is. Bunny would be kind of a quote-unquote special bachelorette, meaning that she has additional requirements if you decide to marry her. So for her, if you do not get the high-speed internet and the modernization plan complete, she will leave town to go move to the city, like Marcia says she wants to do. But Bunny will actually do it. The reason is that Bunny really wants to be famous. She's kind of like got a pop star personality, like in Animal Crossing New Horizons, where she really wants to be a celebrity. And she feels like she can't do that from this little small town because there's no high-speed internet connection, so she can't vlog, she can't make videos, she can't do anything. So she desperately wants to leave town. And so while she's saving up money to leave, maybe she works at an inn or something like that, while she's saving up money to leave, you are working on the town restoration and the modernization projects. And if you complete them, then she'll stay in town. But if you don't get them done by a certain time, then she will leave town. Eventually you can get her to move back, but it's a lot harder to get her to move back than it is to just get her to stay. So of course you would have to complete the modernization plans, but you would also have to work on getting her heart level up, and you would do that during festivals and events like that where she comes back to spend time with her family. And in addition to getting the modernization complete and befriending her more, you'd also have to befriend her family so that they would be the ones to actually convince her to come back home, and then she will come back permanently. So it would be a lot of work to get her to come back, whereas if you are able to get the modernization plans complete before she saves up the money to leave, then you can just get her to stay without going, because if you get the internet set up, she'll stay. Her outfit is kind of a lot of like weird internet trends. So she's got this like skirt that looks like an ice cream sundae. She definitely has kind of a look inspired by Japanese street fashion, like Decora fashion, which I'm not an expert in by any means, but I gave her like this fuzzy pink jacket and the ice cream skirt and the little heart charm necklace. She would probably have a lot more accessories if this was actually truly Decora fashion, but it's just very lightly inspired by it. And I gave her kind of like a TikToker hairstyle where she's got half blonde and half pink hair, because I think that would suit her trying to become an internet celebrity, having this kind of like super trendy, colorful haircut. And she wears little bunny ears as well as part of her look. So you would be surprised. You'd think she has a super bubbly personality, and she does to a large extent, but she's a lot more business-minded and practical than you might think, and even to a certain extent sort of cynical. And for this reason, her and Marcia actually get along really well and are best friends. So they have a lot in common actually, with both wanting to leave town, both being kind of cynical, and both wanting to explore more creative options in life. And so her and Marcia are very close friends, even though in terms of clothing, they dress nothing alike, with Bunny being a lot more pastel rainbow and Marcia being all black. But they kind of have in common that they go all out with the clothes that they wear, and when they find a theme they like, they stick with it. And so that's Bunny. I really actually like her design. Of course, Jordan is still my favorite, but maybe Bunny is my next favorite. But you'll have to let me know which of these 4 bachelorettes you like the best, and if you were going to romance one of them, which one you would pick. I think that they are really fun and would add a lot to a game. I think they also have a lot of potential for maybe wearing different outfits depending on the season. Like maybe Bunny would put on some tights in the winter time. Who knows? I'll see you next week for some bachelors. Have a good one. Bye-bye.